Hello everyone and welcome to a new video, and today I just like to keep on talking about the benefits of exercise and about its importance. So just a reminder to reduce stress, because that can help you with a lot of things, such as getting rid of that midsection fat that we talked about in the last video. And chronic stress is of course also harmful to health, as too much causes an increase in glutamate that causes calcium to enter hippocampal neurons and leads to cell death. So this is one way that stress affects your brain. It simply shrivels up your hippocampus, which is a structure that's important for memory. It literally punctures holes in the neurons there by an influx of calcium, leading to cell death, apoptosis in the hippocampus. And this obviously has implications for memory. You also get less growth factors for neurogenesis, as stress can literally decrease the amount of IGF-1 and other important growth factors that are important for building new neurons in the hippocampus. So you're unable to do that, and in fact you lose neurons, as we just mentioned, in that area. And there's a disease called Cushing disease that's similar to stress, that also causes an elevated amount of cortisol. And so you get things like fat storage, insulin resistance, which increase the risk for diabetes, mental health issues like anxiety and depression, and even an increase in physical problems. And then of course, hippocampal shrinkage, as I alluded to earlier. You also get amygdala overactivation, which causes the overgeneralization and the anxiety and all that makes the initial stressful response even worse and worse. It's like a vicious cycle that initially you're only stressed to this thing, but by overactivating the amygdala, you actually suppress the context. So instead of just being stressed about this or fearful of this one thing, you become anxious to everything. You overgeneralize, and it just makes it like a negative cascade. And so Cushing disease is similar to what you get when you have chronic stress via too much cortisol being produced, and so you get this belly fat, right, insulin resistance, mental health issues, physical health problems, etc. Now, exercise helps you gain control over stress and less likely to engage in unhealthy habits like drinking alcohol, drugs, smoking, etc. On top of increasing your mood and making you gain control over your stress, it puts more insulin receptors and raises IGF-1 levels to better manage glucose levels and give more glucose to the brain, which is important to reduce blood glucose and preventing things like diabetes, for example. It also increases long-term potentiation and neurogenesis via the growth factors, which we discussed last video, such as VEGF and FGF2 and IGF-1, all of those. And then VEGF and FGF2 also help with blood flow, and this is important to increase the cardiovascular efficiency and reduce blood pressure as well. So these factors also help keep cortisol in check as well, as we saw the implications of exercise in suppressing the stress response. And ANP made during exercise hampers down the HPA axis stress response, so the hippocampus pituitary adrenal axis stress response. So you're actually keeping cortisol in check and reducing the HPA response that will lead to elevated cortisol. So that's how exercise helps hamper down the stress response. And of course, as we talked about previously, it causes IGF-1 to better manage blood glucose, to reduce diabetes, and also increases VEGF and FGF2 to help increase blood flow and cardiovascular efficiency to reduce high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. And of course, as we saw, it helps your hippocampus literally regrow. So we saw stress shrivels it down through an influx of calcium via glutamate production, while exercise helps counteract the effects of stress and helps you actually even regrow the hippocampus, which is implicated for memory. So by reducing stress, you're also protecting yourself from other things like atherosclerosis, which is like plaque and hardening of the arteries, which can lead to heart attacks, for example, and also a weakened immune system. So if you're stressed, you can get things like autoimmunity and other things that are related to a weakened immune system, like cancers. And recent research shows exercise implication in some forms of cancer. In fact, 23 of 35 studies show an increase in breast cancer in inactive women. Physically active men have 50% lower risk in colon cancer, and physically active men over 65 have a 70%, that's 70, lower risk in advanced prostate cancer, which is actually fatal. And stress also reduces your productivity at work, increases your risk of injury, and even causes more healthcare or medical claims at work. So exercise can help you halt that stress response, gain control over it, increases your mood so that you actually want to exercise more and more. So reducing the stress response further, protects your neurons in the hippocampus from dying out, so has implications in improving your memory, and also reduces the risk for a whole slew of physical health problems like heart disease, atherosclerosis, diabetes, anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues, immune disease, and even cancer.